July 6, 1944. A concentration camp high in the French mountains. 4 women walk through the gates, British spies, caught, tortured. Sent here to disappear, the guards expect them to be broken. Terrified, begging for mercy instead, one of them, a 24-year-old woman who'd outwitted the Gestapo for 9 months, does something they never expected. She fights back, all the way to the crematorium door. Her name was Andrée Borrel. And before she became the first woman parachuted into Nazi-occupied France, she was just a teenage shop girl working in a Paris bakery. This is the story of how she became one of the most dangerous people in Europe. When we think of World War II spies, we imagine James Bond, tuxedos and martinis, gadgets and glamour. The truth? It was nothing like that. Real spies were ordinary people, teachers, secretaries, shop assistants trained to lie, sabotage, and kill. Andrée Borrel was 22 when she first parachuted into France. No military background, no college education. She'd left school at 14 to work in a bakery. But she had something the British desperately needed. She knew how to survive in occupied France. She'd already spent 2 years smuggling Allied pilots to freedom. She'd crossed the Pyrenees on foot, dodged Nazi patrols, built fake identities from scratch. And when British intelligence found her in London, they saw potential. Churchill himself had created a new agency, the Special Operations Executive. Their mission? Quote, set Europe ablaze. They needed women. Women who could move through occupied territory without suspicion. Women who were brave enough or crazy enough to parachute behind enemy lines. Andrée volunteered, and in September 1942, she became the first. But here's what nobody tells you about being a spy. You're almost certainly going to die, and if the enemy catches you, death would be a mercy. The average life expectancy of an SOE agent in France? 6 weeks. Andrée lasted 9 months, and in that time, she helped build the largest spy network in occupied France. Over 100 agents, thousands of acts of sabotage. But there was a traitor, and everything Andrée built was about to come crashing down. To understand who Andrée Borrel became, you need to know where she started. November 18, 1919. Andrée Raymond Borrel was born in Bécon-les-Bruyères, a working-class suburb just outside Paris. Her father, Louis, was a laborer. Her mother, Raymond, kept the house. They weren't wealthy, but they were happy. Andrée's older sister, Léon, described her as a tomboy. Quote, she had the strength, endurance, and interests of boys. She loved hiking, cycling through the countryside, climbing trees, anything outdoors. When Andrée was 11, her father died suddenly. The family had no income. Andrée, barely a teenager, had to grow up fast. At 14, she dropped out of school, started working as a dressmaker's assistant. By 16, she'd moved to central Paris, working as a shop assistant in a bakery on the Avenue Kleber, the Boulangerie Peugeot. She'd wake up before dawn, sell bread to housewives and businessmen, go home exhausted, repeat. It wasn't glamorous, but Andrée was good at it, reliable, friendly, the kind of person nobody pays attention to, which years later would make her the perfect spy. September 1939, Germany invaded Poland. The world went to war. Andrée was 19. France mobilized. Her friends joined up. The country braced for invasion. But for months, nothing happened. The phony war. Everyone waited. Then, in May 1940, the Nazis struck. 6 weeks. That's all it took for France to fall. On June 22, 1940, France signed an armistice. Northern France, including Paris, became occupied territory. Andrée watched German soldiers march through her city, watched her friends disappear, watched her country surrender. and something inside her snapped. Andrée and her mother fled south to Toulon on the Mediterranean coast. Technically free France under the Vichy government, Andrée trained with the Red Cross, worked at Beaucaire Hospital, treating wounded French soldiers. But treating wounds wasn't enough, not for her. In July 1941, Andrée met a man named Maurice Dufour, a resistance fighter. He was building an escape network, smuggling Allied pilots out of France. British airmen shot down over occupied territory, trying to get back home. The PAT line. It was called Safe Houses, Forged Documents, Guides across the Pyrenees. Maurice needed help. Someone smart, fearless, someone the Germans wouldn't suspect. Andrée said yes. She was 21 years old. She had no training, no backup, no idea what she was doing. But she was about to learn fast. Here's the thing about running an escape network in Nazi-occupied France. One mistake, and everyone dies. And in December 1941, someone made a mistake. A British courier named Harold Cole was arrested in Lille. Under interrogation, he talked. One name led to another. Safe houses were raided, guides arrested. Andrée and Maurice had hours, maybe minutes, before the Gestapo came for them. There was only one way out. Over the Pyrenees, in the middle of winter, February 1942. Andrée Borrel and Maurice Dufour joined a group of refugees attempting the crossing. The Pyrenees in winter are deadly, freezing temperatures, blizzards, German and Spanish border patrols. The journey took days, no shelter, limited food. If you fell behind, you died. Andrée made it. They crossed into Spain. From there, Portugal, then finally, England. Andrée Borrel arrived in London on April 24, 1942. She expected to be welcomed, celebrated as a refugee who'd fought the Nazis. Instead, she was arrested. Every person arriving from occupied Europe went through the same process. Interrogation at the Royal Patriotic School. British intelligence had to be sure. Were you really a refugee? Or were you a Nazi spy? For days, they questioned her about her background, her escape, her contacts in France. Who did you work with? What routes did you use? Give us names. The Free French wanted her information. They demanded she tell them everything about her resistance work. Andrée refused. Quote, "I will not betray the people who trusted me." The Free French rejected her, said she couldn't join unless she cooperated. But British intelligence? They saw something different. Here was a woman who'd spent 2 years operating in occupied France, who knew how to forge documents, evade patrols, run safe houses, who was loyal, brave, and willing to go back. May 15, 1942, the Special Operations Executive recruited Andrée Borrel. Her training was about to begin, so training was brutal, designed to weed out anyone who couldn't handle the pressure. Andrée learned to shoot, fight, pick locks, break into buildings silently. She learned codes, how to send and receive radio transmissions, how to spot surveillance. She learned to parachute at night into hostile territory. But the hardest part? Learning to lie. They ran mock interrogations, Gestapo scenarios. If you're caught, what's your cover story? Can you maintain it under torture? Andrée's trainers noted. Thoroughly tough and self-reliant, no nerves, absolutely reliable. But they also wrote, lacking in imagination, little organizing ability. She'd make a good courier. They said a deputy, but not a leader. They had no idea what she was capable of. September 24, 1942. A cold, moonless night. Andrée Borrel and another agent, Lisa de Baysac, boarded an RAF bomber. Destination, occupied France. The flight took hours. No lights, radio silence, anti-aircraft fire lighting up the sky. Andrée sat in the back, waiting. This was it. No turning back. At 9 p.m., the jump signal came. Andrée Borrel became the first woman SO agent parachuted into France. She was 22 years old, and she was home now. Here's where the story gets interesting. Because Andrée wasn't sent to France to hide, she was sent to build a spy network. The largest spy network in occupied Europe, and for 9 months. She did something that should have been impossible. She lived, worked, and operated right under the Gestapo's nose. In Paris, the most dangerous city in Europe. How? Let me show you. October 1942. Andrée met with Francis Suttle, her new boss, codename Prosper. Suttle was a British liar turned spy, charismatic, ambitious, and tasked with building a resistance network across northern France. His mission: recruit agents, organize sabotage, prepare for the Allied invasion everyone knew was coming. Andrée's job? Courier, the most dangerous role in any network. A courier carries messages between agents, delivers weapons, arranges meetings, which means constantly moving, constantly exposed. Every checkpoint is a roll of the dice. Every patrol a potential death sentence, but Andrée was perfect for it. She looked ordinary, spoke perfect French, had a cover story that held up. She posed as a shop assistant whose father had died in the war, sympathetic, unthreatening. She cycled across Paris, delivered coded messages, never carried anything incriminating she couldn't ditch in seconds. She memorized everything: names, addresses, meeting times if she was caught. She couldn't give anything away, and the work? It was relentless, meeting agents in cafes, organizing parachute drops of weapons and explosives, scouting locations for sabotage. Andrée and Suttle even posed as agricultural equipment salespeople, traveling northern France, identifying farms that could be used as covert airfields when the invasion came. By early 1943, the Prosper network was massive. Over 100 agents, thousands of acts of sabotage, blown rail lines, destroyed factories, cut telephone wires. Suttle was so impressed with Andrée, he made her his second in command. In March 1943, he wrote to London. She has a perfect understanding of security and imperturbable calmness. She is the best of all of us, but there was a problem. The network was growing too fast, too many agents, too many meetings. Security was getting sloppy, and the Gestapo was watching. The Germans knew something was happening in Paris. Radio transmissions were being tracked, safe houses identified, and they had a weapon the Allies didn't expect: a double agent. Someone inside Prosper was feeding them information. And on June 23, 1943, the trap closed. It happened fast. Gestapo agents raided a Paris apartment. Inside, Francis Suttle, radio operator Gilbert Norman. They were arrested. No warning, no chance to run. Andrée wasn't there. She was meeting another contact across town. But she knew, the moment she heard, she knew she could run, disappear into the countryside, try to escape again. Or she could go back to the safe house. On the other, she went back. The Gestapo was waiting. She was arrested on June 24, 1943. Within 48 hours, the entire Prosper network collapsed. Over 100 agents arrested. It was the largest intelligence disaster of the war. And Andrée Borrel was about to face hell, Avenue Foch, the most feared address in occupied France. On the outside, it looked like a mansion, beautiful, civilized inside. It was where the Gestapo broke people. For days, maybe weeks, they questioned her. Who are your contacts? Where are the safe houses? What are the invasion plans? They used everything: threats, torture, sleep deprivation. Andrée said nothing. Zero intelligence, not one name, not one location. Her interrogators were furious. This was supposed to be easy. She was just a courier, a girl, but Andrée Borrel was not just anything. After Avenue Foch, they sent her to Friends Prison. Solitary confinement, a tiny cell, no daylight, minimal food. Andrée spent nearly a year there, 365 days. Alone. Most prisoners broke, went insane, gave up, not Andrée. Another SO agent, Odette Sansom, later described her, quote, "She never complained, never broke. Even in Friends, she had this calmness." But in May 1944, things changed. 8 female SO agents, including Andrée, were loaded onto a train. Destination, Germany. Odette Sansom was with them, she later testified. "We were handcuffed, each of us to another. We didn't know where we were going. Were we going to our death? To a camp? We were frightened, but we made the best of it." One of the women asked a guard for a cigarette. He gave her one for a moment. They were just people. It was the last moment of normalcy any of them would have. July 6, 1944, exactly 1 month after D-Day. 4 women were brought to Natzweiler-Struthof concentration camp in Alsace. Andrée, Vera, Diana, Sonia, they were the first women ever brought to this camp. Male prisoners watched them arrive. Confused Brian Stonehouse, a British POW and artist, was there. He later testified, "I'll never forget them. They walked through the camp like they owned it. They weren't broken. They weren't begging, they were spies, and they knew what was coming." That night, guards came for them, one by one. They were taken into a small room. The camp doctor, Werner Rode, injected them with phenol, a lethal poison. 3 of them died within minutes, but Andrée, the injection didn't work. Witnesses later testified that when they came to take her body, Andrée Borrel was still conscious. She knew where they were taking her, the crematorium, alive, and as they dragged her toward the oven, she fought. One of the guards later testified, "She scratched my face, fought like a demon." Andrée Borrel died fighting. Just like she'd lived, she was 24 years old. After the war, the truth came out. Camp Commandant Fritz Hartenstein was tried for war crimes. Camp Dr. Werner Rode was hanged for his role in the executions. Francis Suttle died in Sachsenhausen concentration camp in 1945. His son spent decades investigating what happened to Prosper. Many believe there was a double agent. Henry Dericourt, their air movements officer, was suspected of working for the Gestapo. To this day, the truth remains murky. Did London know? Was Prosper sacrificed to protect D-Day plans? We may never know, but we do know this. Andrée Borrel saved lives. The Prosper network, before its collapse, conducted thousands of sabotage operations, crippled Nazi logistics, delayed reinforcements. When the Allies landed at Normandy on June 6, 1944, the groundwork had been laid by people like Andrée. Today, Andrée is remembered at memorials across Europe. Her portrait, painted by Brian Stonehouse just before her death, hangs in the Special Forces Club in London. France awarded her the Croix de Guerre and Médaille de la Résistance. Britain gave her the King's Commendation for brave conduct. But for decades her story was classified, forgotten, buried. It's only in recent years that people have begun to truly understand what she did. A shop girl, a teenager, who became one of the most effective spies of World War II, who outsmarted the Gestapo for 9 months, who never broke under torture, who died fighting. Before you go, I want you to think about something. Andrée Borrel wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a trained operative. She was 22 years old when she first jumped out of that plane. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's friend, a girl who worked in a bakery. But when her country needed her, she stood up, and she wasn't alone. Dozens of women did this. Most of them died. Most of them were forgotten. Their names are on plaques nobody reads, in books nobody opens. So if you think stories like Andrée's deserve to be remembered, if you believe we owe these women more than silence, then subscribe, because we're not done telling these stories. And here's my question for you. If you were Andrée, 22, terrified, facing the most dangerous mission of the war, would you have jumped? Leave your answer in the comments. I want to know. Also, do you know other forgotten heroes from World War II? Women or men whose stories deserve to be told? Drop their names below. Thanks for watching, and remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's jumping anyway. Rest in peace, Andrée Borrel. We remember.